Good day, everyone, and thank you for joining us. Kicking off Cogent Live is Cogent CEO and founder, Mr. Dave Schaefer. On your screen, you will have the ability to engage Mr. Schaefer by contributing a question at any time. Submitted questions will be answered at the conclusion of his presentation. This session is being recorded and will be available at Cogent's website, www.cogentco.com, next week. Mr. Schaefer, thank you for being with us today. Let's begin.
Hey, thank you, Rusty. And I'd like to thank everyone who's taken time out of their busy day to join Cogent Live, our inaugural event where we are trying to showcase portions of Cogent's technology and the solutions that we can deliver for our customers and for potential customers. Cogent's business model over the past 22 years has remained consistent. We are primarily focused on delivering the highest quality, most reliable, most affordable internet connection to our customers. The internet has become the lifeline of businesses. Our high quality service allows us to deliver best-in-class services to customers. The nearly 90,000 customer connections that Cogent serves in 48 countries around the world is really a demonstration of the confidence that our customers have placed in us with that critical part of their business. We could design the best network, we could have the best technology and the best business plan, but without customers, we have nothing. Everyone at Cogent is here to serve our customers, to make sure that your internet experience is as positive, as seamless, and as high a quality as possible in as many locations as Cogent can deliver on-net services. For those of you who are maybe not as familiar with Cogent, we have two very different customer segments. We sell dedicated internet access and virtual private network services to corporate customers throughout North America. That service is based on our physical network that connects into just under 1 billion square feet of multi-tenant office space, where we sell typically 1 gigabit connections to our corporate customers. Those customers use those connections for a variety of different applications, but our network provides the highest level of reliability based on our ring architecture. So when Cogent got started, the internet was not considered applicable for mission-critical services. It was always given the bad reputation of being a best efforts network as opposed to a network that could support mission-critical applications. We set out 22 years ago to build a network from the ground up with only one purpose, and that was to deliver that high-quality, affordable internet connection. In order to do that, Cogent secured dark fiber around the world comprising nearly 96,000 miles, both in the metro markets as well as intercity. On that fiber, we have deployed an architecture that resembles a corporate local area on a global scale. That architecture then allows us to interconnect to other networks. So oftentimes, customers are not even sure what they're buying when they buy internet connectivity. It's a service that you can't touch, feel, or see, but yet it's critical to your business. The applications that ride over the internet are critical and are typically easier to understand than the network architecture itself. The other ambiguity in the internet, it is not a singular network, but rather an amalgamation of nearly 55,000 networks that interconnect to one another. Cogent's network was designed to be the most interconnected network in the world. In fact, we have achieved that. More of those networks, those 55,000 networks, directly connect to Cogent than any other network in the world. They also connect to us in more locations than any other network. We offer that network-to-network connectivity in nearly 1,300 carrier-neutral data centers around the world. And then the size of those connections is larger for Cogent than for any other provider. So we have a network that is interconnected, but also built on fiber that is not shared with other applications. Our network is solely dedicated to internet access. That dedication of service has allowed us to deliver uncompromised value and consistency to our customers. Over the next 2.5 days, you're going to hear from a number of groups within Cogent. You're going to hear general session presentations such as the one I'm doing now, and you're going to hear more narrowly focused presentations that are designed around either product or customer vertical. The idea is that you can come and go throughout your busy day and pick and choose the part of the Cogent Live set of presentations that best suits your business. We understand that time is precious for our customers. The internet is something they really don't want to think about. They want it to work consistently in the background. It's much like we've become accustomed in the developed world to using electricity and having running water and heat and air conditioning as part of our basic life. The internet has become that basic of a utility. And very different than other communications networks, the internet is application agnostic. That basically means everyone who attaches to the internet has the ability to design applications and services that best fit their needs. And the network will perform with all of those different services and applications. Also, with almost 5 billion people around the world connecting to the public internet, more of those end users actually connect through Cogent than any other provider. The number of use cases is as limitless as the imaginations of those 5 billion individuals. And for that reason, we have seen an explosion in innovation that has impacted every part of our society. We at Cogent play just a very small role in that. We take no credit for the innovation at the application layer. Our job is to make sure that foundational network works seamlessly, flawlessly, 24/7, and gives the customer all the bandwidth that they need at a very reasonable cost. So that's looking backwards at Cogent, but it's also important for us to look forward. Where are we going? Where is Cogent going to be over the next 5, 10, 15 years? We are fortunate that we chose a business model and a product set that is in demand, that is continuing to become increasingly important. The number of minutes a day each user spends online has continued to increase to nearly 5 hours a day. Secondly, the number of users continues to grow, with about 4.9 billion users globally regularly accessing the internet. And third, the bit intensity of those sessions is continuing to grow. In order to facilitate that, we at Cogent continue to augment and upgrade our network. We break our network into 4 major technology areas. We look at core transport, core routing, edge transport, and edge routing. In each of those technology platforms, we are on our 4th generation of technology in 22 years. We have gone in our transport network from operating with a single 2.5 gig wavelength to today operating on average at about 1.4 terabits per second. We expect that trend to continue. So we are constantly testing equipment in our labs and then deploying that next generation equipment into the real world. Now, as the internet gets larger, we have to be very cognizant of maintaining the stability of the internet. The internet is very different than a traditional circuit switch telecommunications network. There are no predetermined paths across the internet, but rather a set of calculations are done real time to always optimize the transmission of traffic. Some of those calculations are done inside of the Cogent network running IGP, Interior Gateway Protocol. Some of those calculations are done as we connect to those other networks running Border Gateway Protocol. We today have more sessions in operation to external networks than any other provider in history. Over 25,000 concurrent BGP sessions. We constantly measure those sessions and make sure that each of the new technologies that we deploy will be stable as we continue to scale. The internet has suffered from some historic significant outages over time. Almost all of these outages can be traced to human error. What we have tried to do is build a network that is as simple as possible, as consistent as possible, and then deploy scalable technologies that minimize the possibility of a systemic human error. Every network can fail, including ours, but in order to prevent that failure from impacting our customer, we have built a great deal of redundancy into our architecture. All of our physical paths between our customer and the internet are done with dual paths, meaning we have a physical ring of fiber with the ability of traffic to go in either direction, clockwise or counterclockwise. So if the backhoe makes a mistake, it cuts a fiber bundle, we're still able to deliver seamless service to our customers with very rapid restoration times. The way in which we've architected our network has allowed us to achieve very fast restoration times in the order of 50 milliseconds, which is comparable to that of a telephone network. But we have none of the baggage of a telecommunications network because we're not trying to concurrently deliver those legacy services over this platform, but rather we're focused only on the internet. Now, against that backdrop, we've had relentless price deflation. Many of you are familiar with Moore's Law. and the fact that computing power typically doubles every 18 months, and the cost of that computing power remains relatively constant with that doubling, i.e., a 55% price performance improvement. Moore's Law has been in place for 54 years and is starting to show some fatigue, and the ability to continue to increase computing power on a microprocessor has become more and more challenging. Actually, in some cases, questioning the basic laws of material science and of physics. With the transistors getting smaller and smaller, going from a 9 nanometer trace down to a 5 nanometer trace, we are now building transistors for computing that is comparable to the width of a singular silicon atom. At some point, that technology will not scale. Now, switching to the internet, we're actually in a much better place. As we build our roadmap to the future, we know that the average price per megabit consumed on the internet has fallen at a compounded rate of nearly 22.5% per year for the past 30 years. In addition to that price performance improvement, we are very conscious of the environment around us. The technology that allows us to produce internet traffic is getting more eco-friendly. In fact, we have experienced a 16% per year compounded improvement in kilowatts per terabit mile produced on our network. Now, I'm going to take a moment and digress and talk about how a service provider like Cogent delivers service. The internet is this mesh of networks. Our job is to move bits, to interface those bits with our customers, to interconnect them to other networks, and then to route them for optimal delivery. And that production of interface routed bit miles is what our engineering team for 22 years has relentlessly focused on. But going forward, we feel encouraged that we will continue to see these price performance and power performance metrics for at least another decade, maybe more. So the internet has just begun. Oftentimes, many internet users say, oh, the internet's old technology, it's mature, everything that could be invented has been thought of. Nothing could be further from the truth. The level of innovation that is going on and actually powered by the types of bandwidth at the price points that we deliver have allowed IT departments and service providers to redefine how the internet is used. When bandwidth was a precious commodity to be rationed out sparingly by a service providers offered metered service. Today, the vast majority of Cogent's end user customers are on an unmetered plan. Our service provider customers prefer to have a metered service to get a lower price per megabit. But we expect those price trends that have been in place to continue going forward. We think that we will continue to see customers consume more bandwidth and pay less per megabit. Oftentimes I got asked, what is maybe most gratifying about your tenure as CEO of Cogent? And I will look back at the business plans that we have enabled They were not Cogent business plans, they were our customers' business plans. But we became the foundation of those business plans. As bandwidth prices came down, it became realistic to start streaming video in a unicast environment rather than a broadcast environment where video is sent to all users in the same time frame. Now customers can location and time shift their consumption of video, and the number of choices has grown exponentially. But video consumption, ad-based models are really just the beginning. For our corporate customers, we are seeing legacy applications port to the internet. Things like voice, which used to be a standalone product, now sits on top of the internet. Virtual private network services that used to be a dedicated network, now with either SD-WAN or virtual private line service, can be run on top of the public internet. And almost all of the SaaS and cloud applications that have been developed are designed to sit on top of the internet. We enable those cloud applications to flourish. Computing power is moving from the customer premise into a cloud environment. And the internet is that glue that holds that together. Still today, the majority of storage and the majority of computing exists on proprietary equipment. Over time, that computing, those applications, and those services will be available in a public regime, cloud, where they can be used on a as-needed basis, and the infrastructure can be used more effectively. Now, some cloud providers have attempted to connect customers through proprietary networks, but the internet has proven far more resilient. It's more ubiquitous, it's lower cost, and because of the architectural work that we and other service providers have done, has become hardened and reliable in a way that people could not have conceived of 10 or 15 years ago. And with Cogent being singularly focused on the internet, we have no legacy business models that we're trying to protect. No legacy services that we're afraid of cannibalization. That's a unique position to be in as a service provider. And we understand we need to listen to our customers to be able to remain on the forefront of meeting their needs. To that end, Cogent chose a very different way of going to market. Most service providers rely on advertising, one-way outbound outreaches, and oftentimes indirect influencers to bring customers to them. Cogent chose what is a more expensive method, but one that gives us much more real-time feedback. And that is a direct sales force of nearly 600 quota-bearing sales reps. The 1,100 total colleagues that allow Cogent to perform are really here to support those 600 salespeople. And those salespeople are trying to listen to customers. Those of you who are our customers today, those of you who are wishing to be customers, oftentimes it appears in your interaction with the sales organization, they're interested in selling you something and getting you to buy something. That is not the way our sales organization is designed. Our organization, our sales training, has been designed for our salespeople to engage customers, to listen to customers, to understand the customer's IT requirements, and then show them how our network can meet their requirements. The fact that we listen is critical to us being able to deliver the services that 90,000 connections have been entrusted to us. But that's really just the beginning. So as we look forward, we're going to be upgrading technology. We're going to be driving down price and power consumption. But we're also going to be serving hundreds of thousands of additional customers and connections. We have really only scratched the surface in delivering Cogent services. We constantly look for end location buildings that allow us to deliver a complete solution to our corporate customers. And we constantly measure the availability, scale, and carrier neutrality of data centers to see if we can offer our services to those businesses that reside in those facilities. We will probably add over 100 carrier neutral data centers per year to the Cogent network. We will grow our footprint probably about 7 or 8% in terms of route miles of fiber. This year alone, we will double the transport capacity in our backbone as measured by number of exabyte miles that we can carry. We will also increase by 50% the edge routing capacity in our network. A big part of our model has been to build a non-oversubscribed and non-block architecture. That is an architecture that can ensure every packet gets through at wireline speeds. What you're going to hear over the next 2.5 days are use cases and engineering presentations on how we remain committed to those principles. Cogent, at some level, is very simple. At some level, is a very complex business. Our goal is to keep that complexity behind the curtain. That is our job as engineers, as designers, as business people, to make the customer experience as seamless and as smooth as possible. I started this by thanking both our existing customers and potential customers. Cogent would not exist without those customers and the confidence that they have shown in us. For that reason, we are always trying to make our customer experience better for our customers. What does that mean? It means fewer interactions, more online interactions, more self-serve portals, more prompt response. If you have a problem with the Cogent network, and problems do exist, about 5% of our connections every week experience some kind of issue. Now, as it turns out, over 90% of those issues are actually customer initiated. The customer's unplugged a port, has perhaps reconfigured a router, and we then send a trouble notice to the customer when we see that change occur. But when those problems occur, we have teams of customer service and network operations engineers in local markets to quickly handle problems. We generally answer phone calls in less than 20 seconds. We answer emails in less than an hour. We make sure that our bills are simple to the point. Not a lot of extraneous data, not a lot of surcharges, not a lot of additional hidden fees, but rather a simple 2 or 3 line explanation of the basic service that we are providing. We are not a monopolist. We understand that every day we have to compete and win your business. Not only the initial business you gave us, but incremental business that you would add with Cogent. And for those that haven't been with us, we need to show you that we deserve your support and your willingness to connect to us. We, in fact, are so confident that we offer contracts with terms as short as 1 month. Rather than lock in customers to non-market-based commitments that are expensive, we've tried to make sure that our services are available and can be quickly added or subtracted. Now, we do offer discounts for greater term and greater volume commitment, but we also feel it is critical to continue to allow customers that no risk model of trying Cogent, not being locked into a monopolist contract. It's pretty telling that the rate of price decline in our network is over 8 times faster than that in the cable industry, which dominates end connectivity in North America. Now, we have many cable companies as customers, and we appreciate that. But because those companies have had a de facto monopoly, they have not experienced the same kind of price declines and competition as we have at Cogent. We remain committed to being competitive, to not losing based on price, delivering on value, making that customer experience seamless and pleasant. We monitor our customers. In fact, every time a customer has a network event, whether it was detected by us or by the customer, we send that customer a survey on how we did on responding. And like many surveys, people don't have time to fill them out. And some of the information may be viewed as extraneous. But in our case, we're looking for one simple metric. Would you recommend Cogent to a friend or a colleague? That number is known as your Net Promoter Score. We at Cogent have achieved Net Promoter Scores of about 65. That is over 5 times better than the telecommunication industry average. I cannot promise you that there'll never be an incident, but what I can commit to is if there is an instance where service is disrupted, technology fails, we will do everything in our power to restore it as quickly as possible. We've done everything architecturally we could do on the front end to make sure that that service won't go down. And finally, for that service, if you are unhappy with the way in which we have dealt with it, feel free to reach out to myself. I talk to customers. I get emails from customers on a regular basis. I am not customer support, but I understand without our customers being happy, we would not have a business. It is our customers that pay our bills. It's our customers that allow us to deploy this technology. To that end, at our headquarters here in DC, where I'm speaking to you, we have a ticker above my head that you may see. And what that ticker is are all of the new turnups that have happened today so far. And we're trying to instill in our team how important it is to pay attention to customers. Everything at Cogent is here to make the customer experience as seamless as possible. And hopefully you'll see over the 2.5 days of Cogent Live, everyone at Cogent shares my commitment to that seamless, great customer experience. With that, I'm going to pause and see if Rusty has any questions.
Hi, Dave. Thank you very much. There are a few questions that have come in. The first question is how do you feel about the new GPE product that Cogent offers and its impact on the industry?
So with all of our products, we are trying to keep it simple and make sure that the internet is what people rely on. So whether it's our global peer exchange or our traditional transit services, the same quality of network powers all of these technologies. And I am a firm believer that for the vast majority of service providers and end users, they should rely on their service provider to deliver seamless quality service. There, however, are instances where having direct connectivity to a subset of networks as opposed to the whole internet is better for a given application or service. And that's really why the GPE product was developed, to allow companies to have the benefits of an exchange, but on a global footprint with no revenue commitment. It is purely a burstable service. So it is that combination of flexibility and low cost, as well as the fact that it supplements, it does not replace our transit services, that really has allowed Cogent to meet the market's needs. Next question, Rusty.
Sure, Dave. And we've got about 8 minutes remaining for the live stream. The next question asks, is Cogent able to sell me a connection in Vern data center in Iceland?
So the answer is no at this point in time. We are evaluating adding Iceland to our network. There have been a limited number of North Atlantic subsea cables into Iceland. We could not justify the expense of connecting to Iceland based on the fact that there are only 300,000 subscribers or customers in Iceland. Ironically, the incumbent phone company and the two mobile operators are Cogent customers, but they connect to us either in Europe or in North America. As we look at new markets around the world, we have a 4-part test. We look at the aggregate demand. More people, more demand. 2, we look at the ability to leverage physical assets. 3, we look at open regulation. Regulation that allows a company such as Cogent to offer uncensored, unfettered, dumb pipes. And that's not a pejorative term. We meet some of those criteria with Iceland, but we don't meet the 4th criterion, which is affordable connectivity. I do think that will change, and it is on our roadmap. Next one, Rusty.
Sure. The next question asks, what's on the horizon for Cogent in the next 5 years?
You know, it sounds really boring, but it's more of the same. It's more data centers, more North American buildings, more markets such as Iceland, and much more capacity in our network. Oftentimes, I get asked, is Cogent going to offer additional products and services? And the answer is always categorically no, for 2 reasons. 1, we don't want to compete with our customers, but 2, We have no core competency in running a VoIP network or a disaster recovery network or a managed services network. Our competency is running an internet backbone. And for that reason, I think when you look at Cogent 5 years or even 10 years from now, it'll just be a bigger version of what it is today.
Okay, Dave, our final question that's been submitted asks, how has the trend of working from home impacted Cogent?
So the pandemic has changed society. We at Cogent quickly pivoted from operating in over 40 offices around the world in person to literally overnight having our 1,100 colleagues work from home remotely. We had to adapt our systems, our tools, our connectivity, and processes to support that. We did that. We also know that for many of our corporate customers, they're in a similar situation. Their employees are working remotely. Most corporate users do their VPN concentration through their corporate firewall. That actually means even though there is no employees sitting at their desks, that office actually needs more bandwidth, not less bandwidth. And we are uniquely positioned because of our symmetric, non-oversubscribed service to support those work from home VPNs. And we look forward to employees being able to start to return to offices as the pandemic wanes, vaccinations increase. But we think that for a very long time, there'll be hybrid models. And Cogent's network, different than a cable network or our telco competitors, by being symmetric, allows us to support that work from home experience more seamlessly and higher quality. The other thing is that companies are more and more reliant on software and applications that don't sit on premise, but rather sit out in a public environment, software as a service that's hosted, cloud-based computing and storage have all accelerated during the pandemic. And the final note I'll close on is we are all individual consumers as well. And what has really changed is the way in which we consume video. So going into the pandemic, only about 18% of video consumption in the developed world was streamed, meaning 82% was broadcast. Today, over 40% of all video is streamed, and that's growing much faster than other forms of video. And as a result, we have seen a 3 or 4 year transition compressed into 1 year. We will eventually end up with 80–90% of all video being streamed. But today, we still have a long way to go. And I think the pandemic is part of what's turbocharged that transition.
Okay, Dave, there are no other questions that have come in. We're pretty much at time. So thank you very much.
Hey, thank you, Rusty, and I thank everyone for joining today, and thank you for your support. Take care and stay safe.